What's up, everybody? Today we're going to talk about censorship, and that is the reason why I'm mentioning this is because a few days ago HBO Max removed Gone with the Wind from their catalog, and obviously this is a result of the protests going on the street, because Gone with the Wind has been criticized for its romanticism of slavery. And this video is not really about my opinion in the film, because if you're a fan of this film, you probably are not going to like my opinion. This movie most of you guys know I go to film school, and in film school this film is mostly used now, screen only history classes, so you can learn how people thought back then when it comes to creating stories and developing stories. But it's a movie that is very outdated in comparison to how we make movies nowadays. Even the acting style, the way they light scenes, camera movements, you can't really, that's not how we make movies nowadays. So we don't really watch it for production side or the cinematography. We watch it mostly to learn how people thought back then. And most of the times, professors will address the racial stereotypes that are criticized in this film.
As for Scarlet's victuals, you can take that all back to the kitchen. I won't need to buy it.
Oh, yes, and you is. You's going to eat every mouthful of this.
I'm not.
And that's how I was introduced to Gone with the Wind. So it's not a movie that is memorable to me. I grew up watching Star Wars, not Gone with the Wind. But I do know this is an American classic. It's a movie that won 10 Oscars. One of these Oscars was Hattie McDaniel, who plays the mummy. She was the first black woman to receive an Oscar, and that was the time of segregation. I read the story that, you know, she even had problem, you know, had to be escorted to accept her award because, like I said, it was at the time of segregation, and those things unfortunately existed. And when I watched this film, for instance, yes, is the mommy very stereotypical? Yes, there's another server in the film that she's also very stereotypical, kind of a dumb character. These things are present in this film whether you love the movie or not, and it's hard for you with current eyes to connect with this film, and that's how I feel when I watched it. So that's basically my opinion. It's not a movie I intend watching, but that does not mean it should be censored. Like I said, I am completely against censorship. There are movies such as Birth of a Nation, which is you know, glorifying the KK movement, which we all know it's wrong. It's also a movie that has some really great cinematography, and kind of like I was blown away when I watched the movie by camera movements that they were able to do so early on. But that doesn't mean the message of the movie was good. You know, but should these movies be deleted? Should these movies be censored? No, that will not going to change what happened, but that could serve as a way of teaching people and, you know, educating people. And, you know, just people should be able to think for themselves. They should, like, this censorship thing that comes with the PC culture is the kind of stuff that I'm completely against. You know, you might not like my opinion on Gone with the Wind, but I don't think that, you know, by all means, they do not have the right to remove it. You know, people should have access to these films. If they like the movie, they should be able to watch it. To be quite honest with you, when I read what the CEO from HBO Max said, basically what he said is that they wanted to do the disclaimer thing, and which is actually even better than what Disney did, because Disney, you know, Songs of the, what is it called? Songs of the South. They're not even like gonna put that on their Disney platform, not even with the disclaimer, because, you know, it's too offensive, because, you know, Disney always want to play safe, and I think that's even worse, because Disney should step up and, you know, and acknowledge things that were done wrong before. That would be the only way I would actually say, wow, now I actually respect these guys. But no, they don't do it. They just want to pretend that these things never happened and never existed by not even releasing the movie. So Disney is not even going to really, you know, you can't find Songs of the South in Disney Plus. But according to the CEO, let's just read what he said over here. This is what he said about removing the movie. It was a sort of a no-brainer. What's his name? I'm gonna tell you his name right now. His name is Bob Greenblatt. So Bob Greenblatt said it was sort of a no-brainer. I mean, we had the best of intentions, obviously, here. Greenblatt said, of taking down the movie. We failed to put the disclaimer in there, which sets up the issue, basically the issue that this movie really brings up. The war epic starring Clark Gable, Vivian Leigh, Hattie McDaniel, and Olivia Havilland was under the Turner Classic Movies hub on HBO Max. Greenblatt noted when the film airs on TCM, there is a discussion about its content before or after. That was not offered on HBO Max. So we took it off and we are going to bring it back with a proper context. And it's what we should have done, he said. So I don't regret taking it down for a second. I only wish we had put it up in the first place with the disclaimer, and we just didn't do that. So according to him, the movie is not being censored. They just want to add this particular disclaimer, which it doesn't bother me. That's totally fine if they want to do that. But yes, just removing it, obviously when the protests are going on, it kind of makes you think, oh my god, they're going to start censoring stuff. And this also, it's a trend that's probably going to be happening with Hollywood right now, and that's the kind of stuff that I don't like. I am all for equality and diversity when it's organic and when it's really caring for those characters. But I hate tokenism, I hate participatory awards. This is the kind of stuff that is not really helping the movement, you know? And I know that this is going to start happening in Hollywood right now because they just can't help themselves. It's the same thing after the Me Too movement. You know, instead of actually worrying about women and women's rights, you know, people that were abused, they took advantage of the movement to create all these films that no one cares, with characters that no one relates. All women are powerful and all the men are evil, which is not reality. Not all people are bad. We have good people and bad people everywhere. Even females are bad too, you know. Because I believe most people criticizing Gone with the Wind, they often bring up the point that it's very subtle, the glorification of slavery, you know, not like Birth of a Nation, because it's really in your face. Whoa, these people are clearly racist. But here it's very like subtle, and it's very like romanticized, really, like as if all these people are just so happy with their situation. And like, who would like to be a slave? Come on, who would like to be a server? Like that's not how people think in real life. And I think but despite of my opinion on this film, like I said, censorship isn't good and isn't right. People should be able to think for themselves. I don't mind the disclaimer, so I think, you know, I'll give them a pass, because what they want to do now is this disclaimer. It's fine, it doesn't bother me. But if they're, I don't know if they're just doing the disclaimer because, you know, they were called out. We all know that censorship itself does not stand for America. You know, America is all about democracy and you know, sharing our opinions. And I hope that they're not just doing the disclaimer thing just as an excuse. No, we're bringing it back, but putting a disclaimer. That's all. It's not being censored. So I just really hope that this is a wake-up call for all these companies that, you know, censoring things, it's not really the way. I don't mind the disclaimer, totally fine. I do know the power of cinema as well. So that is another thing that people would argue, is that films, they have a power to influence people's thoughts and actions. You know, they can manipulate your feelings. But I also believe that these older films, like classics, they are outdated. Like when we watch these films, we have a different set of eyes. I don't think this movie would have any sort of influence nowadays like it had for its time. You know, for instance, I know that The Birth of a Nation was a movie that inspired the revival of KK movement. It's a terrible thing. Do I think that would happen nowadays? No, I don't think that would happen nowadays, because I would like to think we have evolved. We understand this is a wrong, like treating other people differently just because they're a different color, they came from a different country, is wrong, you know? And that's I'd like to think humanity thinks like that, but obviously we know problematic ugliness of humanity is still out there. But like I said, regardless of my opinion of Gone with the Wind, I I am not in favor of censorship. I don't think these movies or these classics, even if you consider them to be offensive or problematic, they should not be taken down. People should have access to it. Maybe it should make you sick in your stomach when you're watching this and you're learning something from it. Or maybe you're just not going to visit it, you're not going to watch it. But censorship, deleting it, no, it should not be used like that. It's not going to change history or what came before. And that is basically my opinion. Anyways, guys, let me know, drop your comments down below. What do you think of this? You know, HBO removing this film. Are you in favor? Maybe you have a different opinion. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up, subscribe for more, and I'll see you next time. Bye.